Alright, what's up, guys? It's your boy Cyrex, of course. This is The Freak Show, episode 26. It's been a few days since I got at you. Last episode was Hurricane Irma and that bitch's impact. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, we're recovering. Miami's recovering, you know. Power is not all the way back in every home, and I mean, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. Every home needs power. So, you know what's been a big peeve of mine lately has been seeing people like shoot down all the people who are complaining about not having power and not having cell phone service and shit like that. Like, how could you have possibly made it? We didn't have these cell phones 10 years ago. I was like, well, fuck you, nigga. We do now, and this is how people go about their lives. We cannot live without power. A lot of people on this earth cannot live without Wi-Fi and cell phone service. This is how we go about our business. This is how I get to you guys. It's a good thing that I hadn't quite finished the episode 25 when when the power was out and when the Wi-Fi and the service was out. But, I mean, how would I get this episode to you guys? How would I release music? How would people, complete orders for for whatever type of product needs to be shipped out to somebody? Get the fuck out of here. Like, I hate that type of shit. People, and this might be a pot calling kettle black situation, because technically, in a sense, I am kind of doing it now, but I just hate when people just feel this need to shoot somebody down for something. Like, people are complaining about things that are legitimate concerns, and just because you think you're high and mighty, or just because you think that they're below you for this, or for actually vocalizing this complaint, it's the same complaint that you were thinking while the fucking power was out. So shut the fuck up. Do you while the power was out, I woke up to no power. So it's not like I watched it happen. I woke up to no power. And I couldn't communicate with my girlfriend. I couldn't communicate with my father. I couldn't communicate with people, bro. And pretty much all of my friends are here. All the people I care about, pretty much all of them are here. So, to all the people who were being like that, how dare you? Because don't you live in Miami, and don't you have people that you love in Miami? So shut the fuck up with that shit. I don't ever want to see no bullshit like that again. And if you're with me on this, give this a like. Give this video a like and share it for the people who need to learn. Thank you very much. But needless to say, we're not anywhere near over yet. We're just getting started. Now, let's take a look. So, I've just, I don't even know what order I want to tackle these things. I guess I'll start with these hoes. These hoes is spelled, these as like the word, hoes is spelled Heaux, because right now people think that they're really cool by spelling hoes in this really faux French way. The dude who guest stars on the original version of y'all know Chill and Stunt is derived by this. Chill and Stunt is really a remix kind of this other rapper who's who ain't all that. Let's just say that. This other rapper who ain't all that, and he had a guy guest star on it. I feel like looking it up so I can tell you at least who the person who guest stars on the song is. Let's see if I can find it. I'm not going to make a grand effort to do this. So I'm going to try and, okay. I'm going to try one more search. Weauxs, okay. So, Weauxs. I remember seeing, once upon a time, seeing something about hose, and it was spelled Heaux, just like that. And I was disapproving of it then, and I'm disapproving of it now. Before I get to where I'm going here, it's annoying to have to deal with, like, to just see this blatant disrespect and this misogyny out here so prominent. It's very annoying. And I mean, annoying is best case scenario, because this actually does harm women. This actually does, this kind of behavior, this kind of talk, this kind of language leads to the behavior. People are like, oh, well, what they say doesn't matter because actions speak louder than words. Well, when you validate things with words, it leads to actions. So I don't know what people are going on about. I don't know what people are being stupid about. But whatever. No. You know what? Not whatever. Fuck that. Fuck misogyny. Fuck misogynists. If you can't respect people, then fuck you. Because not even at the end of the day, fucking beginning of the day, women are people. You know, all y'all got a mama. A lot of y'all got a sister. Many of y'all got a daughter too. So if you're out here talking shit on women like that, fuck you. When misogyny is no better than sex, I mean, sex, it is sexism. But misogyny is no better than racism. I treat misogynists, racists, homophobes, transphobes, all those kind of people the same. You're a piece of shit, and I want nothing to do with you. Plain and simple. And again, if you identify with what I'm saying right now, if you're one of those people who's like me, like this video and hashtag respect gang. Hashtag respect gang, or just respect. Hashtag respect in the comments, please. And for all the people who hashtag that respect in the comments, I love you already. Shout out to you. Shout out to respecting your fellow human being. You know, people who say all lives matter, they don't really mean all lives matter. They just mean I'm a sensitive little snowflake, and I just want you to acknowledge that white lives matter too. Nigga, white lives have mattered for, I don't even think I can fucking calculate how long white lives have mattered. I don't think I can. It's like after 4 a.m. and I don't even think I should be getting loud. But these kind of things just piss me off. Like, what the fuck is what? Why do we insist on just jumping to bitches, jumping to hoes, and even jumping to female? Because look, like, low key, you know what, mid key, honestly, not quite low key, not quite high key, just mid key. If you have to say female, if you have to say this female over here, this female over there, it's because you want to say bitch. If you want to call an individual bitch, that's one thing. That is definitely one thing. But if you're using bitches to refer to women on the whole, fuck you. An individual can be a bitch, totally. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that an entire group, you're not going to sit here and tell me that all women are bitches. You're not going to sit here and tell me that all black people are bitches, or that all of anything that you can't necessarily control. If you're a bitch, you're a bitch. But you're not a bitch because you're a woman. Plain and simple. And yeah, this might sound like, arbitrary, but I mean, come on, all language is kind of arbitrary. So we define things, we set these definitions, and that's it. So, where I'm going with this, I actually kind of got sidetracked because the term people say. Let's establish this once and for all. By the way, hoe is a vernacular version of whore. So people try to differentiate hoe from whore. That's them making excuses. When you're calling somebody a hoe, you're calling them a whore. A whore is a prostitute. So just please understand what you're calling somebody. Don't try to use these connotative vernacular definitions or anything like that. A spade is a spade. So we have set definitions of these things. And yes, I understand connotations are a thing, totally. But you're not gonna hide behind a connotation of something that's still negative just because you feel like being disrespectful. Now, part of it may just be me. If a woman, or if anybody really actually is a prostitute, then technically, yeah, you could call them a whore, but you also have to understand that whore has a pretty awful connotation as it is. So, call them a whore all you want, but you're liable to get smacked the fuck up. I'm just saying. If you call a prostitute a whore and she smacks you up, and she just prefers the term prostitute, I don't condone violence, but you kind of set yourself up. You feel me? But anyway, let's get to where I'm actually going with this. So the song These Hoes, I'm not going to use the artist's name. In fact, the artist is actually pretty fucking lucky that I'm even calling her an artist. I'm only calling her an artist by definition, because she is considered the artist behind this song. But I will not be using her name, I will not be using her meme, nothing. None of that. I will not give her the satisfaction, I will not give her the time of day. But this is something that I do feel the need to speak on. These Hoes is charting on the Billboard Hot 100 or Top 100. I don't even know if that's, I don't know what it goes by these days. I don't care what it goes by these days, to be quite honest. But why don't we take a look at where exactly this song is on the charts. By the way, this person has a, what's it called? This person has a record deal with Atlantic Records. Now, you all know me as a fan of Everyday Struggle. Joe Budden was out here, complimenting and thinking that Atlantic Records was actually, one of those labels that actually got something to do. Number 77. So this person has a hit number 77 on this Billboard Hot 100 chart. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? What the fuck is wrong with... This is just proof that the beat is really what matters in mainstream hip-hop right now. That as far as hits go, as far as those little quick hits go, that the beat is what matters, and somebody just needs to come on there with a vibrant enough personality. It's been made very evident that this person has plenty of personality. Whether it be good or bad, I guess this is up to what you've seen. What I've seen is all bad. But it also shows that social media fame is really what matters. Now, what made me bring this into the what made me talk about this, because I was like ready to never ever talk about this person on the show. I love and respect doing the show too much to put that on you guys. But I feel like this is a very serious topic, and I feel like I have some things to say on this. Now, Atlantic Records record deal, because the record labels are desperate. Clearly, the record labels are desperate. They understand that all that matters is the money that they have. Outside of the money they have, a record label doesn't matter. Plain and simple. So, what they want is, they want to take care of their bottom line by using a YouTube stars or anybody who has some social media fame. They want to use their clout. They want to just take somebody who has an audience. They don't want to develop artists. But I mean, I'm basically just stating things that you should already know. It's become very evident in this, I guess, cheapening of our culture, cheapening of the hip hop music. Because I mean, I'm not gonna act like, hip hop is dead or anything, but let's call a spade a spade. Mainstream hip hop has been cheapened. Hip hop music has been cheapened. It's very sad. Hip hop people just want to say, oh, but there's this. Yes, don't get me wrong. As far as diversity, as far as actual artistry, well, I don't know about as far as actual artistry, but as far as actual art, as far as where the art is going, and looking at it from all angles, yeah, this is the best time in hip hop, because you can have you have almost all angles covered. You have some, it's like the App Store. There's an app for everything, There's a song for every vibe, just about. But when people try to use that as a crutch for justifying the bullshit that's out here, get the fuck out of here. Why are people legitimizing this person? Why was this song allowed to chart? Because the people made it chart. So either the people don't care that basically it seems like too many fans just think they have no accountability. They want to talk about all these underground, all these indie acts out there, but then you have to understand that the most important conduit through which an artist gets really their backing, their money, their everything is the fans. So anybody who is responsible for this song charting has no right to complain about this person ever again, because you misused your accountability and you didn't acknowledge it. Hopefully that's none of you. I truly hope that's none of you. Dom is Live is a channel on YouTube that I enjoy. But he covers this person way too much. And I remember watching a rant video too. It was not even a rant really. Academics was on Twitch. Academics was on Twitch streaming, and he had Dom is Live on the phone, and he also had somebody else who seems to vehemently dislike Dom is Live. And this detractor, I'm just gonna refer to him as the detractor, or as the I guess anti-Dom, because I'm not gonna go find the video, stop the recording, and figure out who that is. I'm not gonna do it. So let's say anti-Dom. Anti-Dom cited cited basically his disdain for Dom's channel almost entirely off of the fact that Dom has very heavy coverage of this person, the the artist who shall the person. I don't even feel like calling her an artist again. I probably won't. The person who shall remain unnamed. Dom covers her heavily on this video. On his channel. And to be honest, yeah, it was a bit concerning for me too. I'm trying to get into your channel, but like I see another video after video after video of this girl. And it's like he was citing that that's what his fans seem to want to watch or seem to want to see, and that most of the views that come from his video, or most of the basically the views that the videos that get the most views on his channel are videos about her. Now that's a fucking shame, nigga. That's a damn shame, and that's a fucking cop out. Like, nigga, you that desperate? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I be salty when my videos don't be getting views, because my channel ain't popping like that. But look, it's one thing to switch up your content for something that you don't feel strongly about. But for somebody who is, there's no argument. There is no argument, and I implore anybody to try and give me an argument. This girl is detrimental to our culture. She is a white person who, I understand, there's white people here who are just raised around vernacular, around the African American vernacular. That's just a thing. That's something that we can't really do anything about unless, all the black people move just away from the white people who are like this. That's not going to happen. That's not something I necessarily want to happen either. It's a little ridiculous. So yeah, it's just going to happen like that, But out of that has also come people who do respect our culture, like Paul Wall, like Eminem, who come in here and who have a reverence, who have a respect, who understand, but also they also care about their art. They're legitimate artists. This chick is just somebody popular who made a song. Nobody has even, I don't even know if anyone's checked if it was her who even wrote the lyrics. But that's clearly not what's important to the mainstream. These mainstream people, they want shit microwaved. They want shit microwaved, and they want it ready in 30 seconds. If it takes more than 3 minutes, they ain't with it. That's a bar, actually. So, it's just, it's really annoying, and it's really disheartening, and it just makes me sad. It makes me sad because hip-hop is so beautiful. Hip-hop is something that's so beautiful. It's the best genre on earth because it can be so many things. To be rock, there's certain criteria. To be jazz, there's certain criteria. To be classical, there's certain criteria. There are so fewer criteria. So fewer criteria to be hip-hop. And the thing is that one of the things that makes hip-hop so amazing, it's shown time and again that it can also be its undoing. The fact that hip-hop is so accessible, the fact that hip-hop can essentially be made by anybody. Well, that's what happens. So, Honestly, I move for us to boycott this single and any other single that this girl releases. I move for us to boycott, honestly, I move for us to analyze people who analyze people in our culture better. That's what I want. I want us to understand that our culture is nothing without us. And that if we let them have it, they're not going to give it back. That's just the reality. So, if something happens and hip hop gets all the way gentrified in 20, 30 years, or even 10 years, based on not you people, but based on what these fucking people are doing. If it happens and they take it all the way away, they're not going to give it back. We have to start all the fuck way over. They didn't give jazz back. I mean, thankfully we still have some of jazz, but they didn't give rock back. Thankfully we still have some of that. But they don't even have, do you understand what people's perception of lyrics don't matter has done? They just made it so that literally anybody, and the writer not mattering. And yeah, part of this stemmed from the fact that we let Drake walk away like it was a complete win from the Meek Mill feud. We have to remember that Meek Mill did something very important. Wanna Know was terrible. Wanna Know was a terrible song. And Charged Up and Back to Back were just better songs. That's why he won. And I acknowledge that. I called that a win on his part. I still call that a win on his part. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge what that almost unanimous win has done to our culture. Remember that this began, and part of it is the fact that, Meek came off as an immature child because of the whole, Drake didn't tweet my album, and so he just exposed him like that. We have to remember though that exposing, that was something that we should have taken a lot more seriously. But because we've been in this microwave mode, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been microwave hip hop since the 90s. I believe since the 90s. One could argue that the 80s too. Remember that Rapper's Delight technically was considered a microwave track. Rapper's Delight, this track that we all laud, that we hold in such regard as the first hip hop single. The first major hip hop single. These things can be argued. We don't, a lot of people don't have perspective on that song. A lot of people don't know that guys like Grandmaster Caz and Grandmaster Melly Mel, they fucking hated that shit when it came out. The guys who were like really in the streets, really in the Bronx, really in Manhattan, really doing it, they hated that. They thought this is going to cheapen our culture and destroy it. Now, I would honestly argue that moving forward, it only enhanced it. Well, not only, but it majorly enhanced the art. It made it so that people could make original music that's truly genuine. Consider the fact that if there wouldn't have been a Rapper's Delight, there probably wouldn't have been a Kendrick Lamar. There probably wouldn't have been a Jay-Z. There probably wouldn't have been a J. Cole. There probably wouldn't have been a J. Dilla. I'm using a lot of J's, but still. A lot of these people may not have come out, and if they did, may not have come out the way they did. Certainly would not have come out the way they did if it weren't for the advent of recorded hip-hop and the devices, the machines, the electronic music devices that came out along with it. You know, they weren't specifically for hip hop, but you know, let's not act like SP and Akai didn't notice the dramatic rise in their sales by people in the hood, by people who intended to use that equipment to make hip hop music. You know? So yeah, there has been basically what I intend to say with this is that yes, Rapper's Delight was seen as a bad thing right then and there, but it did lead to good. And there actually were bars on there, even though Big Bang Hank, rest in peace, Big Bang Hank, he is. Hate having to unlock this thing and do all this shit. But no, I believe he is no longer with us. Yeah, rest in peace, Big Bang Hank. But I mean, it's been widely acknowledged from people who actually do understand and appreciate the culture that almost all of his verse, if not all of his verse from Rapper's Delight, was Grandmaster Caz's rhymes. So, where am I going with this? Back to this new These Hoes song. This is a prime example of hip-hop being gentrified. And if you care about this culture, you do not support this. And if you do support this, you're not a hip-hop head. If you support this, if you support people like this girl coming in and gentrifying our culture, coming in and appropriating our culture, then you do not support hip-hop, and shame on you. Shame on you for being part of the problem. Because this isn't just about the music. This is about the fact that this is a genre and a culture of music that has changed a lot of people's lives for the better, changed countless lives for the better, that have saved a lot of people. And to just watch it being taken over before your eyes and not do anything about it, shame on you. You're a piece of shit if you actually support shit like this. Plain and simple. And anybody who does support shit like this, feel free to tell them, all me. Feel free to tell them they're a piece of shit. Fuck that. I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm not going to allow this to happen to the music and the culture that I love. The music and the culture that is the fucking reason I'm alive today. That's just reality. And speaking of things that are cheapening our culture and making us look like a bunch of fucking buffoons, you know what? I actually have it pulled up. Not all the way pulled up, but I can get to it right quick. Who added me? Fucking. Oh. So tonight I've been causing a little bit of trouble on Twitter. And it's stemming from this post. Why are you liking my shit if you're so vehemently disagreeing? Whatever. So, Lil Pump, one of the latest and greatest disappointments to hip-hop culture. Because if we don't acknowledge people as hip hop culture and as a problem in hip hop culture, as a virus, as something that needs to be expunged from the culture, we're just going to sweep it under the rug. And when you try to sweep things under the rug, I mean, they just kind of keep going. So, we have Little Pump. He was on a I guess the Mars Files is a podcast along with Smoke Perp. So let's take a look at what happened here. This boy is 17 years old. And in 8th or 7th grade, he seems to have been listening to Don't Like. And I guess some girl was, as he says, tripping. And rather than reason with her like a person, he seems to have fanned the flames of her tripping, as he said. And apparently, she threw gum in his hair. I don't know what business anyone has throwing gum in anyone's hair. But then what seems to have happened is he seems to have hit her several times. He seems to have beaten her several times. It keeps going though. Smoke Perp seems to have been condoning this. They were using all types of slang regarding 8-piece. He claims to have hit her like a fucking 8-piece. Hit her like an 8-piece. And apparently the teacher wasn't stopping him. Okay, so he was about 12 or 13 years old when this happened. I don't know about you, but when I was 12 or 13, I was pretty level-headed enough not to try and beat somebody's ass just because they put gum in my hair. Look, again, I do not condone violence, and I especially don't condone violence towards women. Self-defense is self-defense. This did not merit self-defense. This did not merit that kind of violence. Get the fuck out of here. Somebody puts gum in your hair, nigga, cut it out and cut it out, and then put more gum in their hair. I understand 2 wrongs don't make a right, but come on, jumping straight to fucking violence on that shit? That did not merit violence. Fuck that. What is wrong with you? And it seemed, as DJ Booth pointed out, because DJ Booth is responsible for that article, by the way, shout out to DJ Booth. I'm actually about to follow them right now for dragging this motherfucker. If it will let me follow them. Seems like my phone's kind of freezing up right now. Okay, seems like I'm going to have to exit the app. Apparently, this Mars Files gentleman was amused by the story rather than, checking him. Like, dog, don't you got a mom? Don't you have sisters, aunts, a grandmother? What's wrong with you? And people go crazy over this guy. Why are people going crazy over this guy? He makes fucking trash music. And it doesn't seem like a lot of effort's put into it either. It seems like y'all really fell in love with the microwave. Not y'all again. Y'all, my listeners, I imagine y'all to be some sensible people. I think y'all are great. But if you support Little Pump and these hoes, all that shit, you need to unfollow me. It'd be better if you blocked me also. Because I don't condone that, and I don't condone people who condone this. Because when you're part of the problem, you're condoning the problem, you're allowing the problem to go on. If you're not part of the solution, you're allowing the problem to go on. You know how that goes. Part of the solution, part of the problem. You're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You know? So, this led to somebody making a post about the representation of Florida rappers is fucking shit. We have XXXTentacion, who, while I think his music is interesting, I'm not above abandoning everything about him altogether if it comes out that these allegations are true, because that deposition does not look good. It seems like he did it. I just don't understand what compels somebody to do things like that. I'm not gonna go into what he did. I would recommend that you go and look up what went on with that, because it's some gruesome shit. And if it turns out, if these things are true, then he's a piece of shit. That he's a terrible man. He's a terrible person. And, if these things are true and he's found guilty of it, he needs to be locked away for a long time. And he needs to get help while he's in there. And Kodak Black, we see the legal issues that he's been going through. These are the three guys who are representing the young guys in rap. Because Flo Rida's in his mid to late 30s. Pitbull's in his late 30s. Rick Ross is 41. Trick Daddy is 44. So the days of, don't get me wrong, obviously Rick Ross and Pitbull and Flo Rida, they're still very prominent artists. Obviously Trick Daddy's still doing his thing. Luke has stopped rapping, but he's still around. I believe he's 50 or 60. I don't remember. Sorry if I'm fucking up the facts here, Luke. Shout out to you for putting our city on the map. For, 2 Live Crew for putting the city on the map, even though Do Wah Diddy is a horribly homophobic song and should be done away with. And I would recommend that 2 Live Crew definitely distance themselves from that song and any song with that kind of content, just to save, at the very least, to save face. At the very least. But the current generation in hip hop, as far as Florida goes, as far as South Florida especially goes, niggas are talking about Lil Pump, XXXTentacion, and Kodak Black. Yeah, they're also talking about Rob Banks and Denzel Curry and Puya, but nowhere near on the same scale as Kodak Black and Tentacion. Even though the three that I just mentioned have been around longer. People are just flat out not really even talking about Space Ghost Perp anymore. Space Ghost Perp seems to have had a wave, and then people kind of just jumped off of it. He seemed to be one of those guys who was really good for the blogs with back in those couple of years that the blogs really mattered. I'd like to think he's still really doing his thing out here. I haven't followed. I was never really big on him to begin with, but Perp, if you're space, but specifically Space Ghost Perp, if you're still out here, shout out to you, because I certainly never heard anything about you beating on anybody, especially beating on a woman. And if you could keep it that way, I'd highly appreciate that. I think the world would really appreciate that. But we're condoning these artists and not caring about that. We're like, don't get me wrong, innocent until proven guilty. Totally. I'm with that. So I'd like to think that Kodak and Tentacion are not guilty of what they're being accused of. But the same likelihood that they didn't do it, they could have done it. Those things seem to bear that same likelihood. At least from the perspective of people outside looking in, like myself, like all of you. So there's not a whole lot of room for these kind of assumptions, for any assumptions really. We just have to see watch the legal system play out. But Lil Pump is out here openly admitting it and trying to condone it. You know, so this is one of those things that this wasn't even in the public eye. He just brought it up, or I don't even know how it came up in the podcast. I'm not gonna watch that shit. I'm for sure not gonna watch that shit. And you know, Mars Files, I hate that it has to be like this, because I do support independent podcasters. I hate that it has to be like this. But if you're gonna be condoning this, fuck you too. So, you know, the reality is we can't sweep things under the rug. We have to acknowledge these things and we have to expunge them. We have to acknowledge these things, and we have to make sure that these people do not get the respect that they so want. Because anytime we let something like that go under the rug, they just keep on moving. They keep it moving, and things don't really, you know, people pretty much stop talking about it unless they do something like that again. We swept the whole Chris Brown situation under the rug. Then he beat on Karrueche, or was doing all the things. I don't even know or care about the whole story, but I know for a fact he was stalking her. That shit seems to have been proven, and she has a restraining order on him right now, thankfully. And R. Kelly, we swept, and I'll admit I swept it under the rug too. I was all the way certain he didn't do it. I never saw the tape. But now we have these kind of things coming out again. And shit's just getting swept under the rug. So it's like, I mean, how much of this can we stand? It's like we want to glorify all these bad things. Like, is this really human nature? Because it's not a new thing. It's not like people had to. It's not like reality TV has been an acquired taste or anything like that. The type of person who would have gravitated toward reality TV 50 years ago, those same type of people gravitated to it immediately when it came out, when it became a serious thing. This is not a new generation, and people want to blame, these kids these days. But who fucking raised us? Who fucking taught us in school? Who fucking told us who fucking cut our hair? You know? Barbershops are a cornerstone in the black community, a cornerstone of the Hispanic community. I'm sure they're a cornerstone in the white, Asian, etc. communities too. Who taught us in school? Who raised us? How many of y'all are out there with parents who have all these backward ass beliefs and then try to chastise this generation like they didn't fucking raise you? Those type of people need to shut the fuck up. Have some accountability. These are the things that we are allowing into our society. If you actually care about what's in our society, then you wouldn't support this crap. If you actually care about making our society a better place, then you'll act. And you'll support the things that you feel need to be supported, that you feel are conducive to a better society, are conducive to connectivity between people, to bringing people together. Not just giving us something to fucking gawk at. Shame on all the people who allowed this to happen. Shame on all the people who condone this fucking bridezilla say yes to the dress culture. This fucking microwave, fucking little pump, fucking all this bullshit. And yes, I understand that a lot of this is subjective, but even if the music is subjective, the impact is pretty objective. The impact, these impacts are things that you can see, things that you can watch happen in our society. You know, and it's at a certain point, I'm just like, who am I to talk? Because I've condoned some gangster rap. I'm not going to sit here and lie like I haven't, because I have. I don't generally, though. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm high and mighty. I mean, I've been a part of the problem sometimes, too. But the whole thing is you got to see your mistake and correct it. Because if you don't, it's just going to keep on happening. And the more times we make the same mistake, the more of these type of seedy figures can basically get into the public eye, and all of a sudden they have a huge following and they're beloved by people for being a shithead, for being a piece of shit. So it's just we have to sit here and think about what we're doing, what we're condoning, what we're allowing to happen. Because we act like, that's just what's coming out, and like other forces, but one of the problems is that nobody wants to be the first person who's part of the solution. Everybody wants to be part of the solution when the solution's already being proven to work. Nobody wants to start cleaning up. Nobody wants to start the cleanup. They only want to get involved when they're seeing the difference that the cleanup is making. And that's another thing that we need to stop. So I implore all of you to take a look at what you're consuming. Take a look at what you're consuming and the effect of what you're consuming and the effect that has on our society. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm perfect, but that's something that I do, and that's something that I think all people should be doing. And as for creators out there, look, I totally support being free and creating what you want to create, but before and when you're doing this, please understand that what you're making is art, or something that is more than likely going to be here on Earth, especially something that's going to be on the internet for, long after you're dead. So please have some regard for that. Have some regard for that fact, and for the fact that this isn't just about you. If you're just making music for yourself, that you're just playing in your room, playing for your friends, shit like that, then that's all about you. But the second you try to release it and put it on a major scale, it's not just about you anymore. Yeah, it's still about you, but it's also about all the people that it's touching. So please have some regard for that. I've been going off for like almost a straight hour. I've left quite a little mess on Twitter too. Let's see. So like one person, Asia. Shout out to Asia for liking pretty much every response that I've had on this post, and the posts that the webs that have sprouted from it. She commented that they all seem to have sexual or domestic assault charges too, just like I already stated. And she goes on to say, I guess there's just a real lack of respect for women in Florida. Now, I responded as a New York City-born Floridian who respects women. I can say with confidence there's a very serious lack of respect for women here. Does anybody want to combat me on this? If you seriously do, please comment. If you seriously think that that's not the case, I'm not talking about just you. I'm not talking about just your friends. I'm talking about the people around you. Try it. Please, I really do want to see a comment, dismantling my point, or dismantling the point that's been made here about Florida having a giant culture of misogyny. Because it's not like it's just Florida that has this culture of misogyny. We're talking specifically about Florida, sure, but our world is pretty fucking misogynistic. Societies around this world are pretty fucking misogynistic. Of course, not across the board, but misogyny has run rampant for centuries. And people just want to act like, oh, this is the best it's going to get. No. This is the best it's been, but it could be better. Of course it could be better. Like, it's funny how when people were like, when Obama got elected, that was supposed to be the end of racism. Nigga, please. Racism is still very much alive, and it's worse than certain points throughout history. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's worse than in the 50s and 60s, but it's not better. It has not gotten better than it was in the 90s and the 2000s and the 80s. This is a really there's a lot of friction. This is a really tense time. So, of course, the same is going on for women. It's not like just because Hillary Clinton was the candidate, the main, she was the elected Democratic candidate for to run in the actual election. It's not like just because she was was she the first woman to really be the candidate on a major platform for one of the two parties? I'm not sure. I believe she was. I'm not going to double check that right now. Comment if she was. But just because that happened doesn't mean that misogyny and sexism are over. And if you are one of those people, anybody who is one of those people who tries to think that way just because Andrew Cuomo and Chris Cuomo are, just because Andrew Cuomo's governor of New York, he's not, his dad was governor. That don't mean that there ain't no prejudice against Hispanics in New York. Nigga, please. Just because Hillary Clinton was the candidate does not mean that sexism is over. It means that, yes, we've made some great strides against sexism, but for every couple steps we're taking forward, there's a couple steps we're taking back as well. Against misogyny, against homophobia, against racism, against all the stuff. So, come on, let's just not be stupid. Let's not act like just because we had a black president, racism is over. Because the families of Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, Jordan Davis, Trayvon Martin, and many others would beg to differ. So, I don't think I have another topic here, but I would definitely like to continue both of these discussions, if not all, I guess all three discussions in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Tell me what we're doing here. Tell me what we need to do. I would very much appreciate if you miss me with this bullshit about it's up to the people with the whole these hoes kind of thing. Sure, it is up to the people. But if you legitimize this person any further and then they have an actual thriving career as a rapper, you lose the right. Anybody who condone this loses the right to complain about the state of music. You completely lose that right because you had an opportunity and you didn't take it. Fans don't realize, they either don't realize the power they have or just don't care. And it's sad. It's sad because there's so much good music out there that's not getting anywhere near the attention that it could be getting because of people like this, because of shit brains like this, because of pieces of shit like the main two people that I've spoken about in this episode. I can't even believe. Well, no, I'm still in. I'm in slight disbelief that I've gone this far talking about the two of them. It would have been nice had I left Little Pump's name out of this episode because I certainly don't want to give him any shine. I'm glad that I succeeded in keeping the other person's name completely out of the episode. I'd like to talk about something positive. At least one positive thing in this episode. New music coming soon. New music coming very soon. Make sure you stay posted with the YouTube. Make sure you stay posted with the Instagram especially. And Twitter. Stay posted with Facebook. Watch my 10-part Hurricane Freestyle series. I'm going to go ahead and drop a couple links about that in the description. But get in the comment box. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you get involved in the discussion. I would definitely want to hear your point of view. It's not like I'm just going to disparage you if you don't agree with me, but if you completely disagree with me and if you do support the 2P, I want to know why. I would love to know why, and just know that you're not going to exactly be met with all the positivity in the world from me. I'm going to come at you with politeness, but understand that I'm going to continue to vehemently disagree and vehemently be against these detriments to our culture and our society. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it's going to be. For those of you who are level-headed and who actually do care about improving our society and actually do care about being respectful towards people from all walks of life, those who understand that it's your actions who make you good or bad and not where you come from. I love you all, and I'm very glad that you've continued to listen to me. If you're not familiar with the series, go back. This is episode 26, so there's plenty of material. If you got a hankering for some more freak show, there's plenty. And I want to thank you once again. Especially I want to thank the Last Second Gang. Remember that everything is Cyrex MC, Cyrex MC. This is the Freak Show, episode 26. I'm Cyrex, and I want you to have a good night.